I woke up disoriented, my head pounding like I'd been hit with a sledgehammer. The air was damp and thick with the scent of sweat and dust. My wrists burned as I tried to move, realizing I was tied to a chair. The faint hum of voices filtered through the walls, muffled and distant. What the hell was going on? As my eyes adjusted to the dim light, I recognized where I was, backstage at the Civic Center. The same venue where, just the night before, my wife, Rachel, and I had attended a promotional event for Crossfire, a blockbuster TV series we both loved. More accurately, I loved it. Rachel tolerated my obsession, teasing me about how I'd devour every episode and post fan theories online. But last night, she'd seemed unusually excited to attend. Now here I was tied up, my mouth dry, and my mind racing. A door creaked open, and light flooded the room. A man stepped in, his silhouette sharp against the glow. "Awake, finally," he said, his voice smooth and familiar. My heart dropped. It was Nathan Cole, the star of Crossfire. My favorite character, the actor I'd admired for years. "What the hell is going on?" I demanded, my voice hoarse. Nathan smirked, leaning against the wall. "You'll find out soon enough." His nonchalance made my blood boil. Why was I here? What had I done to deserve this? The door opened again, and this time, Rachel walked in. She wasn't panicked or upset. She was calm, too calm. "Rachel," I croaked. She crossed her arms, avoiding my eyes. "Adam, just listen. This isn't what you think." "What I think," I snapped, struggling against the ropes. "What I think is that I'm tied up in some goddamn dungeon with my wife and my favorite actor, and no one's explaining anything." Nathan chuckled. "He's got a temper, doesn't he?" Rachel shot him a look, but her expression softened when she turned back to me. "Adam, I didn't want you to find out like this." "Find out what?" I demanded, my stomach twisting. She hesitated, then said the words that shattered my world. "Nathan and we've been seeing each other." I stared at her, my mind struggling to process her betrayal. The woman I'd loved for 10 years, the person I thought I knew better than anyone, had been sneaking around with a man I idolized. The room spun, and I felt like I was going to be sick. "Why?" I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. Rachel looked down, guilt flashing across her face. "Because you were so wrapped up in him, in his show, his world. I didn't feel like I mattered anymore." Her words hit me like a slap. How could she twist this to make herself the victim? Nathan clapped his hands, breaking the tension. "All right, lovebirds, let's wrap this up." "Adam, I don't have time for a full therapy session. Let's just say this is my way of tying up loose ends." "What are you talking about?" I snapped. Nathan's grin widened. "Rachel's mine now. And you? You're just a messy ex we need out of the picture." My heart pounded as his words sank in. This wasn't just about an affair. Nathan was playing a game, and I was the pawn he needed to eliminate. Nathan's smug grin haunted me as I struggled against the ropes. My wrists burned, the raw edges of the bindings cutting into my skin. "Rachel, untie me," I said firmly, ignoring the lump rising in my throat. She looked torn, her gaze flicking between me and Nathan. "Adam, I can't." Nathan stepped forward, placing a hand on her shoulder. "See? She's with me now. Don't make this harder on yourself, buddy." My pulse thundered in my ears. "Harder on myself?" "Nathan, you're some washed-up actor playing tough guy, because you're jealous I have what you want?" Nathan's smirk faltered for a split second, and I knew I'd hit a nerve. But he recovered quickly, turning his attention back to Rachel. "Sweetheart, why don't you wait outside? Let me handle this." Rachel hesitated, her expression full of guilt, but she eventually nodded and left the room. Nathan waited until the door clicked shut before leaning down, his face inches from mine. "You're a lot of talk for a guy tied to a chair." "You're pathetic," I spat. "Using my wife to feed your ego? What? Your fan base wasn't enough for you?" Nathan straightened, laughing darkly. "You really don't get it, do you? This isn't about ego. This is about Rachel realizing she deserves better than you." The sting of his words was almost unbearable, but I refused to let him see how much they affected me. "Funny," I said, my voice laced with venom, "because from where I'm sitting, she downgraded." Nathan's grin faded, replaced by a cold glare. "You've got guts, I'll give you that. But guts won't get you out of here." He turned and walked toward the door, pausing to look back at me. "Don't go anywhere. I've got big plans for you." When the door slammed shut, I sagged against the chair, my mind racing. Nathan's smug confidence wasn't just irritating, it was dangerous. Whatever he had planned, it wasn't good. I glanced around the room, my eyes scanning for anything I could use to free myself. The chair wobbled slightly as I shifted my weight, and I realized one of its legs was loose. Using every ounce of strength, I began rocking back and forth, trying to break the leg free. The ropes bit into my wrists, but I gritted my teeth and pushed through the pain. After what felt like an eternity, the chair leg snapped. I fell sideways, landing hard on the ground, but I was still bound. Sweat dripped down my face as I twisted and squirmed, using the broken leg to rub against the ropes. Finally, the bindings gave way, and my hands were free. My fingers trembled as I untied my ankles, the adrenaline coursing through me, making it hard to focus. I stood, my legs unsteady beneath me. The door was locked, but a window near the ceiling offered a potential escape route. Climbing onto a table, I pushed the window open and hauled myself through, landing outside in a narrow alley. The cool night air hit my face, but there was no time to waste. I didn't have a plan, just an overwhelming need to get away. But as I turned to run, I heard voices behind me. Nathan's voice, loud and angry. "He's gone!" Panic surged through me as I ducked into the shadows, keeping low and quiet. Nathan wouldn't let me go without a fight. As I crept through the alley, my mind raced with questions. How had my life spiraled so quickly? And what the hell was I going to do now? The alley was silent except for the distant hum of city traffic and the pounding of my heart in my ears. My breathing was ragged, but I didn't stop moving. Every step took me farther from the nightmare I'd woken up to. Nathan's voice echoed faintly behind me, barking orders to someone. "Find him, now!" I quickened my pace, darting around a corner and into the main street. Blending into the sparse crowd, I pulled my hood over my head and kept my gaze low. The Civic Center wasn't far from the downtown district, where the neon lights and late-night diners provided some semblance of cover. I slipped into a small diner, the bell on the door jingling as I entered. A waitress greeted me with a warm smile. "Just one tonight?" I nodded, muttering, "Yeah, thanks." Sliding into a booth near the back, I kept an eye on the entrance. My mind raced with thoughts of Rachel and Nathan, the betrayal and danger swirling together in a toxic mix. How long had they been sneaking around behind my back? How could I have been so blind? As I sat there, the waitress brought over a coffee, placing it on the table. "Rough night?" she asked, her voice kind. "You could say that," I replied, managing a weak smile. She didn't press further, leaving me to my thoughts. Reaching for my phone, I cursed under my breath when I realized it was still in the room where Nathan had tied me up. I was completely cut off, no contacts, no navigation, no lifeline. I clenched my fists, frustration bubbling up, but anger wasn't going to get me out of this. I needed a plan. The door to the diner jingled again, and my stomach dropped as two men walked in. They weren't Nathan, but something about their sharp suits and purposeful strides set me on edge. I lowered my head, pretending to be engrossed in the menu, but my pulse quickened as they scanned the room. "Hey, you seen this guy?" One of them asked the waitress, showing her a photo. I didn't need to see the picture to know it was me. The waitress shook her head. "No, sorry. Haven't seen him." The men exchanged glances before stepping out of the diner, the bell jingling again as the door shut behind them. I exhaled slowly, my hands trembling. Nathan had people looking for me. This wasn't just a personal vendetta. It was calculated. Digging into my pocket, I found a crumpled $10 bill. It wasn't much, but it would get me a cab. Sliding out of the booth, I left the cash on the table and slipped out the back door. The night air was cold, biting against my skin as I flagged down a taxi. "Where to?" the driver asked. I hesitated, then said the first place that came to mind, Oakwood Motel. "Just drive fast." The cab sped through the streets, and I leaned back, my thoughts spiraling. What was Nathan's endgame? Did he think I'd just disappear quietly? And Rachel, was she really okay with this? The woman I'd loved, the woman I thought I knew, had stood by while her lover tied me up and left me to rot. When we pulled up to the motel, I paid the driver and headed to the reception desk. The clerk didn't ask questions, handing me a key after I slid him the last of my cash. The room was dingy, with peeling wallpaper and a flickering light bulb, but it was safe. I sat on the bed, staring at the cracked ceiling. My world had been turned upside down in less than 24 hours. But as I sat there, something shifted. The fear and confusion began to fade, replaced by something else, determination. Nathan wanted to play games? Fine. But I wasn't going down without a fight. The Oakwood Motel wasn't the place anyone would call comfortable, but it gave me a chance to breathe and think. The night's events replayed in my head like a horror movie on a loop. Rachel's calm betrayal, Nathan's smug face, and the ropes biting into my wrists. I couldn't stay on the run forever. I needed answers, and I needed leverage. I found an old notepad and pen in the nightstand drawer and started jotting down everything I knew about Nathan. His public life was no mystery. His role on Crossfire had made him a household name. But I needed dirt, something to expose him for the fraud I suspected he was. The problem? My phone was gone, and I couldn't exactly walk into a library to Google how to take down a TV star. I decided to risk it. I pulled the hood of my jacket over my head and headed to a nearby convenience store. The fluorescent lights buzzed overhead as I grabbed a burner phone off the rack and paid in cash. Back at the motel, I powered it on, my hands shaking as I connected to the weak Wi-Fi signal. It wasn't much, but it would do. The first thing I searched was Nathan's name. Page after page of glowing articles. Interviews, red carpet photos, fan tributes popped up. But buried under the praise was something that caught my eye. An old tabloid article claiming Nathan had been involved in a scandal years ago. The link led to a dead page, but the headline was enough to get me started. Rising star faces allegations of coercion on set. I dug deeper, piecing together fragments of old forum threads and archived articles. The details were murky, but the accusations were clear. Nathan had allegedly manipulated and intimidated several co-workers early in his career. The stories were swept under the rug and dismissed as jealousy or misunderstandings. But there were enough whispers to paint a troubling picture. Armed with this knowledge, I knew I had to reach someone who could confirm the story. Scanning through names mentioned in the threads, I found one that stood out. A former assistant named Erica, who had reportedly quit after a falling out with Nathan. I searched for her on social media, hoping she hadn't disappeared into obscurity like so many in Hollywood shadows. To my surprise, her profile was public. Even more surprising, she lived just a few miles away. I sent her a direct message, keeping it vague but urgent. Me. Hi Erica, my name is Adam. I need to talk to you about Nathan Cole. It's important. I didn't expect a response, but my phone buzzed less than an hour later. Erica, what's this about? I left that life behind for a reason. I hesitated, then typed. It's about my wife. She's involved with him, and he's trying to ruin my life. I think you might know how he operates. Her response came quickly. Erica, meet me tomorrow at the coffee spot on the 8th noon. I set the phone down, my chest tightening. This could be the breakthrough I needed, but it could also be a trap. For all I knew, Erica was still loyal to Nathan, or worse, working with him. But I didn't have a choice. If I wanted to take him down, I needed to take risks. That night, sleep didn't come easy. Every creak of the motel walls made me jump. Every shadow outside the window felt like a threat. I replayed my last conversation with Rachel, wondering if she was complicit in all of this, or just another pawn in Nathan's twisted game. When the morning came, I felt more resolved than ever. Erica might hold the key to exposing Nathan, and I wasn't going to let fear stop me. I grabbed the burner phone, slipped the notepad into my pocket, and headed out. The coffee spot on 8th was small and unassuming, tucked between a laundromat and a bookstore. I arrived 10 minutes early, my nerves on edge. The burner phone in my pocket felt like a lifeline, even though I doubted I'd have time to use it if things went south. I scanned the room, searching for Erica. She'd used a vague profile picture on social media, but I spotted her quickly, mid-30s, sharp eyes, and an air of cautious intensity as she sipped a latte near the back. Erica? I asked as I approached. Her eyes flicked up, assessing me quickly before nodding. You must be Adam. I slid into the seat across from her, trying to calm the pounding in my chest. Thanks for meeting me. Don't thank me yet, she said. I don't know if I can help you. But if Nathan's involved, it's bound to be messy. Her bluntness caught me off guard. You know him well? Too well, she replied, her lips tightening. I worked for him for 3 years. That was enough to learn exactly how far he'll go to protect himself. Her words hung in the air, heavy with implication. I leaned forward, lowering my voice. He's involved with my wife, Rachel. She cheated on me with him. But it's more than that. He's trying to ruin my life. He tied me up backstage at an event and left me there. Erica's eyes widened slightly, but she quickly regained her composure. That sounds like Nathan. He doesn't just destroy people. He makes sure they know it was him. Her words sent a chill down my spine. I found some old allegations against him, I said. Coercion, manipulation, intimidation. Why didn't anything stick? Erica sighed, glancing around to make sure no one was listening. Because he's good at covering his tracks. He surrounds himself with people who'll do his dirty work and take the fall if things go wrong. And anyone who speaks out, well, let's just say they regret it. Her tone was bitter, and I could see the weight of her own regrets etched into her expression. Why did you leave? I asked. Her gaze darkened. Because I couldn't stomach it anymore. The lies, the games, the way he used people like pawns. But walking away wasn't easy. He made sure I left quietly, with no one to back me up. My stomach twisted. Do you think he's dangerous? Her answer was immediate. Absolutely. I leaned back, trying to process everything. Nathan wasn't just a manipulative celebrity. He was a predator, someone who thrived on control and chaos. Do you have anything on him? I asked. Anything I can use to stop him? Erica hesitated, her fingers drumming on the table. I kept some emails, messages he sent me, instructions he gave to others. I thought about deleting them 100 times, but something told me to hold on to them. Can you share them with me? I asked, my voice laced with urgency. She studied me for a long moment, then nodded. Meet me tomorrow. Same place, same time. I'll bring what I have. Relief washed over me, but it was quickly replaced by a gnawing sense of unease. If Erica was taking this risk, Nathan wouldn't take it lying down. As I left the cafe, I couldn't shake the feeling that I was being watched. Every shadow seemed to stretch too far. Every passerby felt like a potential threat. I took a roundabout route back to the motel, keeping my head low and my pace brisk. When I finally locked the door behind me, I exhaled shakily. Erica had given me a glimpse into Nathan's world, and it was darker than I'd imagined. That night, I barely slept. Every creak of the floorboards, every distant car alarm, jolted me awake. My mind raced with possibilities, trying to piece together a plan for what came next. Nathan had power, connections, and a knack for destroying lives. But I had something he didn't expect: the truth. Tomorrow, Erica would hand me the evidence I needed to bring him down. Until then, all I could do was wait, and hope that Nathan didn't strike first. The morning felt heavier than usual, the motel room oppressive with its flickering light and peeling wallpaper. I splashed water on my face, staring at my reflection in the cracked mirror. The man staring back looked tired, worn, but resolute. Today was a turning point. If Erica's evidence was as damning as she hinted, it could be the key to stopping Nathan once and for all. I left the motel early, weaving through side streets to avoid drawing attention. My gut told me that Nathan wasn't done trying to find me, and the memory of those two men in suits at the diner still lingered in the back of my mind. The coffee spot came into view, its neon sign buzzing faintly. I scanned the street for anything suspicious before stepping inside. Erica was already there, seated at the same table, a manila folder clutched in her hands. You made it, she said, her voice low but steady. Barely, I replied, sliding into the seat across from her. Is that it? She nodded, pushing the folder toward me. Emails, text screenshots, even some financial records he didn't want anyone to see. It's not everything, but it's enough to show the pattern. My hands trembled as I opened the folder, skimming the contents. Erica hadn't exaggerated. This was gold. One email caught my attention immediately. It was from Nathan to an assistant, instructing them to handle a problematic coworker. The language was veiled, but the intent was clear. Another was a series of texts to an actress on set, coercing her into staying silent about a dispute. My anger boiled as I read. This wasn't just manipulation, it was systemic abuse. This is enough to destroy him, I said, my voice hard. That's the idea, Erica replied. Before I could say more, the bell over the cafe door jingled, and my blood ran cold. Two men in suits walked in, scanning the room. They're his, I whispered, my grip tightening on the folder. Erica's eyes widened. We need to get out of here. I stuffed the folder into my jacket as Erica grabbed her bag. We slipped out through the back exit, the cool air hitting us like a slap. "Where now?" she asked, her voice shaking. "Somewhere safe," I said, leading her toward a nearby parking lot. We ducked between cars, keeping low as the men emerged from the cafe, their expressions sharp and predatory. "They're looking for us," Erica said, panic creeping into her voice. "They won't find us," I replied, though my own fear was mounting. After what felt like an eternity, the men moved on, disappearing down the street. I exhaled shakily, my heart pounding in my chest. "That was too close," Erica said, leaning against a car for support. I nodded, my mind racing. "We need to get this folder to someone who can do something with it." Erica hesitated. "I know a journalist, someone who's not afraid to take on powerful people." "Call them," I said. "We can't wait." She pulled out her phone, dialing quickly. "It's Erica. I have something you need to see. Can we meet?" The conversation was brief, but it ended with a plan. We'd meet the journalist, Kara, later that evening at her office. Until then, we had to stay hidden. We found refuge in a nearby library, its quiet atmosphere a strange contrast to the chaos of the morning. As we waited, I couldn't stop flipping through the folder, each new document solidifying the picture of Nathan as a dangerous, manipulative force. "This is it," I said softly. "This is how we take him down." Erica nodded, her expression grim. "Let's hope it's enough." The hours dragged on, every sound making me jump. Finally, as the sun began to set, we left for Kara's office. The tension in the air was palpable, but the determination in my chest burned brighter. Nathan had pushed me too far. Now, it was his turn to face the consequences. Kara's office was tucked into a modest building downtown, the kind of place that didn't attract attention. Erica and I slipped inside as dusk settled over the city, tension clinging to us like a second skin. Kara greeted us at the door. She was sharp-eyed and no-nonsense, her demeanor exuding confidence. "You must be Adam," she said, shaking my hand firmly. "Thanks for meeting us," I said, my voice tight. "No problem," she replied, ushering us into a small conference room. Erica gave me a quick rundown, but I need to see the evidence myself. I placed the folder on the table, my hand still trembling slightly. Kara opened it, her eyes scanning the pages with practiced efficiency. As she flipped through the documents, her expression darkened. "This is worse than I thought," she muttered. "Nathan's not just manipulative. He's running a full-blown operation to silence anyone who crosses him." Her words sent a chill down my spine. "Can you do something with this?" I asked. "Karanadiv." "Absolutely. But we need more than just paper trails. If we can get someone to go on record, someone he's hurt, it'll make the story bulletproof." Erica hesitated. "I could do it," she said, her voice wavering. Kara looked at her intently. "Are you sure? This will put a target on your back." Erica took a deep breath, her hands clutching her bag. "Nathan already ruined my life once. I'm not going to let him do it again." Her bravery struck me, and for the first time, I felt like we had a real chance to win this fight. "Okay," Kara said. "Let's record your testimony and compile everything into a comprehensive piece. Once it's live, Nathan won't be able to hide anymore." Kara set up a camera, and Erica began recounting her story. Her voice wavered at first, but as she delved into the details of Nathan's manipulation and intimidation, her resolve grew stronger. I watched in silence, a mix of admiration and anger bubbling within me. Erica's story wasn't just hers. It was a reflection of what Nathan had tried to do to me, to Rachel, and likely to countless others. When the recording ended, Kara leaned back in her chair, her expression grim but determined. "This is going to shake some cages," she said. "What happens next?" I asked. Kara gave me a tight smile. "I start writing. Once this goes live, the fallout will be immediate. But you need to be prepared. Nathan won't go down quietly." The weight of her words settled on me. Nathan's influence ran deep, and he wasn't the type to let go of control without a fight. Erica looked at me, her eyes filled with both fear and determination. "We have to see this through, Adam, for everyone he's hurt." I nodded. "We will." As we left Kara's office, the cool night air hit us like a wake-up call. The city felt alive with its usual hum of activity, but for us, it felt like the calm before the storm. "We need to lay low," Erica said. "If Nathan catches wind of this before it's published, he'll do everything he can to stop it." Agreed. I said, scanning the street for anything suspicious. We decided to split up temporarily. Erica headed to a friend's apartment, while I returned to the motel. My paranoia was in overdrive as I walked back, every shadow feeling like a threat. When I reached my room, I locked the door and shoved a chair under the handle for good measure. I sat on the bed, my mind racing. Nathan had controlled the narrative for years, but now, for the first time, the truth was on our side. Still, the thought of Rachel lingered in my mind. She'd chosen Nathan, but had she really known who he was? And if she did, how much of his darkness had she embraced? Sleep didn't come easily that night. Every sound outside the room made me flinch, every creak of the floorboards setting my nerves on edge. But despite the fear, there was a flicker of hope, a belief that we were finally on the brink of taking Nathan down. The next morning, I woke to my burner phone buzzing on the nightstand. My heart leapt as I grabbed it, half expecting bad news. It was a text from Erica. Kara's article is going live tonight. Be ready. Relief washed over me, but it was fleeting. If Kara was publishing, Nathan wouldn't just sit back and watch his world crumble. I left the motel and headed to a nearby diner, needing coffee and a quiet place to think. As I sat by the window, sipping the bitter brew, I replayed the events of the past few days in my mind. Nathan's smug face, Rachel's betrayal, Erica's brave testimony. We were so close to the truth coming out, but the weight of uncertainty hung heavy. My thoughts were interrupted by the sound of my phone buzzing again. This time, it was a call from an unknown number. Hello? I answered cautiously. A familiar voice responded, smooth and venomous. Adam, we need to talk. My stomach twisted. It was Nathan. There's nothing to talk about, I said, my voice cold. Come on now, Nathan replied, his tone mockingly pleasant. You don't really think you can win this, do you? You're done, Nathan, I shot back. The truth is coming out, whether you like it or not. There was a pause on the line before he chuckled. You've got guts, I'll give you that. But guts won't save you when this all blows up in your face. The line went dead, and I stared at the phone, my chest tight with anger and fear. Nathan's calm confidence was infuriating, but it also meant he had something up his sleeve. I couldn't let my guard down, not now. That evening, I met Erica at a coffee shop close to Kara's office. She looked as nervous as I felt, her hands clutching her bag tightly. Did Kara say what time the article goes live? I asked. 8 o'clock, Erica replied. She's double-checking everything to make sure it's airtight. As we talked, a news alert popped up on my phone. My blood ran cold as I read the headline. Actor Nathan Cole accuses former employee of defamation. I clicked the link, skimming the article. Nathan had preemptively gone on the offensive, painting Erica as a bitter ex-employee trying to ruin his career. He's trying to control the narrative, I said, sliding the phone toward her. Erica's face paled as she read. I knew he'd fight back, but this is low, even for him. I clenched my fists. He's scared. If he weren't, he wouldn't be doing this. But what if it works? Erica asked, her voice trembling. What if people believe him? They won't, I said firmly. Not when Kara's article comes out. The evidence speaks for itself. At exactly 8 o'clock, my phone buzzed again. It was Kara. It's live, she said. Let the fireworks begin. I thanked her and hung up, quickly pulling up the article on my phone. The truth behind Nathan Cole. A Star's dark secrets exposed. The piece was scathing, meticulously detailing Nathan's manipulative tactics, his pattern of abuse, and Erica's first-hand account. As I scrolled through the comments, a wave of support for Erica was already building. People were outraged, calling for investigations and boycotts. But then I noticed something else. An increasing number of comments defending Nathan, dismissing the claims as lies. He's got his people out in full force, Erica said, leaning over to read. He's not going down without a fight. I shook my head. Let them try. The truth is out now, and there's no taking it back. We stayed at the coffee shop late into the night, watching the fallout unfold in real time. Media outlets began picking up Kara's story, and Nathan's name trended on every platform. But as the night wore on, a nagging feeling settled in my chest. Nathan wasn't the type to take a public hit without retaliating in private. The question wasn't if he'd strike back. It was when. The next morning, I woke to another flood of notifications on my burner phone. Kara's article had gone viral overnight, dominating headlines, and sparking debates across every social media platform. Support for Erica and the others was overwhelming, but Nathan's loyal fans and allies were equally vocal, dismissing the accusations as a smear campaign. I scrolled through the chaos, my stomach churning. This wasn't just about taking down Nathan. It was a battle for the truth, and the lines had been drawn. Erica called mid-morning, her voice shaky. "Adam, have you seen what's happening?" "Yeah," I replied. "People are fighting back, but Kara's story is holding strong. We're making progress." "It's not just that," she said, her tone rising with panic. "Nathan released private emails between us. He's twisting them to make it look like I was obsessed with him." My blood boiled as I pulled up the latest article. Nathan's PR team had spun a narrative of a bitter former employee who couldn't let go, framing Erica as an unstable woman trying to ruin his life. The headline read, "Expose or Vendetta? The troubling claims against Nathan Cole." "He's playing dirty," I said, my fist clenching. "But that doesn't mean he'll win." Erica let out a shaky breath. "I don't know how much more of this I can take, Adam. It's too much." "You've already done the hardest part," I said, trying to reassure her. "You told your story and people are listening. Don't let him scare you into silence again." She paused, then said quietly, "Thanks, Adam. I didn't think it would get this ugly." After the call, I contacted Kara to discuss our next move. "He's retaliating hard," I said. "Erica's panicking, and he's trying to bury the truth under a mountain of lies." Kara was unfazed. "Let him try. The more he lashes out, the more desperate he looks. But we need another hit, something he can't spin." "What about Rachel?" I asked. "Do you think she'd talk?" I wasn't sure. Rachel had betrayed me, but I didn't know how deep her involvement with Nathan went. If she was still under his spell, she wouldn't help us. But if she'd started to see him for who he really was, "I'll try," I said finally. Contacting Rachel felt like reopening an old wound. I sent her a simple text, unsure if she'd even respond. "Rachel, we need to talk. It's about Nathan. Please, it's important." To my surprise, she replied within minutes. "Rachel, meet me at the park on Birch Street. 3 p.m. I arrived early, my nerves on edge. Rachel was already there, sitting on a bench, her arms crossed tightly over her chest. She looked different, tired, conflicted, like the weight of the past few days had taken its toll. "Adam," she said as I approached. "Rachel," I replied, keeping my tone neutral. For a moment, neither of us spoke. The tension between us was palpable, a reminder of everything that had gone wrong. "Why are you here?" she asked finally. "Because you know who Nathan really is," I said. "And you know what he's done. If you care about the truth, you need to help us." Rachel looked away, her jaw tightening. "I made mistakes, Adam. But Nathan, he's not who I thought he was." Her voice cracked slightly, and I saw a flicker of guilt in her eyes. "Then tell the world," I said. "Help us take him down before he hurts anyone else." Rachel hesitated, her fingers gripping the edge of the bench. "If I do this, I'll lose everything. My job, my reputation, everything. You've already lost me," I said bluntly. "But you can still do the right thing. That has to count for something." She didn't answer immediately, but after a long pause, she nodded. "Okay, I'll do it." Relief flooded through me, though I knew this was only the beginning. Rachel's testimony could be the final nail in Nathan's coffin, but getting her to speak out publicly would be a delicate process. As I walked away, I couldn't help but feel a sliver of hope. For the first time, it felt like we had a real chance to win. Rachel's decision to help us was a victory, but it came with a heavy price. She had barely spoken to me in the last few months, and now, I was asking her to risk everything for a chance at redemption. The weight of that hung in the air between us, but I knew we were both at a crossroads. Over the next few days, Rachel and I exchanged texts, each one more tentative than the last. She was clearly torn, guilt, fear, and regret mixed together in her messages. But she promised she was ready to talk to Kara and go public with her side of the story. Kara and I set up a meeting, and Rachel arrived looking like a woman on the edge. Her face was pale, her eyes swollen, but there was a determined edge to her that hadn't been there before. She knew what she was about to do. "I never thought I'd be here, Adam," she said quietly, sitting across from me at Kara's office. "But I can't live with what Nathan's done anymore. I need to make things right." Making things right isn't going to be easy, Kara said, glancing between us. Nathan won't go down quietly, and the media will eat up the drama of it all. If you go public, Rachel, you're going to have to be ready for the fallout. I know, Rachel said, her voice shaky but resolute. But I won't let Nathan continue to hurt people. I won't let him control me anymore. As the meeting progressed, Rachel's testimony became a pivotal part of the story. She spoke of the manipulation Nathan had subjected her to, how he groomed her into believing she was just as much of a victim as she was an accomplice. The way he twisted her emotions, using her vulnerabilities to lure her into his world of deceit. Every word she spoke chipped away at the perfect facade Nathan had built. But even as Rachel spoke, I could see the fear in her eyes. The realization that exposing Nathan meant facing the possibility of losing everything, her job, her social circle, and even her own peace of mind. When the meeting ended, Kara had all the material she needed to push forward with the story. But it wasn't up to us anymore. The floodgates had opened, and now we were at the mercy of the public and Nathan's next move. The next morning, my phone rang. It was Kara. "It's live," she said. "The article, Rachel's testimony, it's all up. We're getting bombarded already." I felt a surge of adrenaline. Nathan's empire was crumbling, but the battle was far from over. I glanced at Rachel, who was pacing nervously in the waiting area. "How are you holding up?" I asked. Her eyes were wide, a mix of fear and relief on her face. "I don't know. I feel like I've just opened Pandora's box. I don't know if I can take what's coming." "There's no going back now," I said gently. "But you did the right thing. You're helping more people than you realize." Rachel nodded, though her hands trembled. "I hope so. I really hope so." As the hours passed, the media storm grew. Social media exploded with support for Rachel and Erica, but there were also countless trolls attacking their credibility. Nathan's loyal followers rallied behind him, claiming the accusations were fabricated. The cycle of online outrage was relentless. By the time the sun set, I received a call from Kara. "Nathan's making moves. His lawyer is threatening to sue for defamation, and the media is already shifting the narrative. They're calling Rachel the other woman again, trying to undermine everything." "Of course they are," I muttered, my fists clenching. "Nathan won't go down without making sure everyone knows how much he can destroy." "Listen," Kara said, her voice calm despite the chaos. "We knew this would happen, but we have the truth on our side. Keep pushing forward. You can't let him control the narrative anymore." That night, as the first wave of articles began to shift public opinion, I stood on the balcony of the motel, looking out at the city. The weight of everything pressed down on me, Rachel, Erica, Nathan, and I felt the pull of what we were all fighting for. There was no more hiding, no more running. Nathan had pushed us into a corner, and we were fighting back with everything we had. But I knew it wasn't over. It couldn't be. Not while Nathan was still out there, determined to silence anyone who threatened his perfect world. The following morning, I woke to the sound of my phone buzzing relentlessly. Notifications flooded the screen, each one carrying a mix of support, outrage, and thinly veiled threats. Kara's latest article, featuring Rachel's testimony, had hit harder than expected. Major outlets had picked up the story, amplifying the fallout. But with the increased visibility came the inevitable backlash. I opened a message from Erica, her words trembling on the screen. "He's not backing down. His lawyers are everywhere. I'm scared, Adam." I typed back quickly, "Stay strong. We've come too far to stop now." But even as I sent the message, I couldn't ignore the unease creeping in. Nathan wasn't just fighting back. He was escalating. By mid-morning, Kara called with an update. "Nathan's legal team just issued a public statement," she said. "They're doubling down on the defamation claims and threatening lawsuits against everyone involved, me, Erica, and now Rachel." My chest tightened. Can they actually win? Unlikely, Kara replied. But that's not the point. This is about intimidation. He wants to scare everyone into silence. Rachel arrived at the motel not long after, her face pale and drawn. "Have you seen it?" she asked, holding up her phone. I nodded. "We knew he'd do this." "He's calling me a liar, Adam," she said, her voice shaking. "He's dragging me through the mud, and people are eating it up." I placed a reassuring hand on her shoulder. "It's all noise. The truth is out there now, and nothing he says can erase it." But as I spoke, I wasn't sure if I believed my own words. Nathan's reach was vast, and his ability to manipulate public opinion was terrifying. By afternoon, the pressure mounted further. An email from Kara revealed that Nathan's legal team had sent cease and desist orders to her, Erica, and Rachel, demanding that all content related to the accusations be removed immediately. Kara was unfazed. "They're bluffing," she said when I called her. "They don't want this going to court because they know they'll lose. But we need to stay vigilant." As I hung up, Rachel sat across from me, her hands trembling. "Adam, I don't know if I can keep doing this. Every time I check my phone, there's another message calling me a liar or worse." "You're stronger than you think," I said firmly. "And you're not alone in this." She looked at me, tears brimming in her eyes. I wish I'd seen Nathan for who he really was sooner. Maybe none of this would have happened. Her words cut deeper than I expected. Rachel's betrayal still stung, but seeing her so vulnerable reminded me that Nathan's manipulation had hurt her too. "We can't change the past," I said softly, "but we can make sure he doesn't hurt anyone else." That evening, as we monitored the fallout, Erica called in a panic. "There were men outside my apartment," she said, her voice shaking. "They didn't come in, but they were watching." My stomach dropped. "Are you safe now?" "I'm staying with a friend," she said. "But Adam, this is getting out of control." Nathan's retaliation was becoming more personal, more dangerous. It wasn't just about silencing us anymore. It was about fear, control, and ensuring no one else dared to speak out. I reassured Erica as best I could, but the weight of her fears settled on my shoulders like a lead blanket. That night, I couldn't sleep. I stared at the ceiling of the motel room, replaying everything Nathan had done. He was pushing us to the brink, testing our limits, daring us to fight back. But as much as I wanted to believe we could win, doubt crept in. How far would Nathan go to protect himself? And at what cost? By dawn, I made a decision. I couldn't wait for Nathan's next move. If he wanted to play dirty, so would I. I grabbed the burner phone, scrolling through my notes. Somewhere in the chaos, there had to be a way to turn the tide. And I was going to find it. Nathan had been relentless in his retaliation, but his aggressive tactics revealed something crucial. He was scared. The tighter he tried to hold on to his reputation, the more cracks began to show. I spent the morning poring over Erica's evidence and Kara's articles, searching for anything we hadn't leveraged yet. Nathan's legal threats were noise, but I needed something louder, something that couldn't be ignored. That's when I remembered the financial records Erica had mentioned. Hidden among the emails and texts was a trail of suspicious transactions. Large sums of money, shuffled between accounts and flagged as consulting fees. Kara confirmed my suspicions during a call. "Those aren't consulting fees," she said. "It's hush money. Nathan's paying people to stay silent." We had evidence of his manipulation and intimidation, but this added a new layer, potential fraud. "If we can link this to the accusations, it's over for him," Kara said. "Even his most loyal defenders won't stand by him if this comes to light." Erica and Rachel agreed to help analyze the records, though the tension between them was palpable. Rachel was still grappling with her role in the mess, while Erica's lingering resentment made collaboration difficult. By evening, we'd uncovered a pattern. Nathan had made significant payments to several individuals, including former co-workers who'd left his projects under mysterious circumstances. One name stood out: Amanda Hayes, an actress who had vanished from the public eye after a scandal involving Nathan years ago. Kara reached out to Amanda, and to everyone's surprise, she agreed to talk. The call was brief, but powerful. Amanda confirmed that Nathan had paid her to keep quiet after an incident on set. "He said it would ruin both our careers if the truth got out," she said. "I was young and scared, so I took the money. But I regret it every day." Her voice trembled as she spoke, but the courage in her words ignited something in all of us. This was the proof we needed to dismantle Nathan's empire. With Amanda's statement in hand, Kara began crafting the next article, a bombshell expose tying Nathan's financial misconduct to his history of abuse and coercion. "This is the nail in the coffin," Kara said during a late-night call. "Once this goes live, there's no coming back for him." But as the momentum built, so did the risks. Erica's paranoia grew, and Rachel's nerves were fraying. I could see the toll it was taking on both of them. "I don't know if I can handle what's coming," Rachel admitted one evening. "I've already lost so much." "You're not alone in this," I reminded her. We've all lost something because of Nathan. But if we stick together, we can make sure he doesn't win. The next morning, Kara called with an update. The article is ready, she said. It goes live at midnight. But I need you all to be prepared. Nathan's going to throw everything he has at us. Her warning hung heavy as we gathered at Erica's friend's apartment that evening, waiting for the clock to strike 12. The room was filled with a tense silence, broken only by the occasional buzz of a phone. When the article went live, the response was immediate. Social media erupted with shock and outrage as the new revelations painted a damning portrait of Nathan's actions. The financial records, Amanda's testimony, and Kara's meticulous reporting left no room for doubt. But just as the tide seemed to turn in our favor, a new development threw everything into chaos. A breaking news alert appeared on my phone. Nathan Cole files criminal charges against former assistant Erica Wallace. My heart sank as I read the details. Nathan had accused Erica of stealing confidential documents and fabricating evidence, turning the focus back onto her. He's trying to make me the villain, Erica said, her voice shaking. I knew he'd fight dirty, but this... Rachel stepped forward, her voice firm. He's desperate. He knows he's losing, and we're not going to let him win. Her words galvanized us. Nathan's latest attack was a diversion, but we weren't going to let it derail the truth. As the night wore on, I realized that this battle wasn't just about Nathan anymore. It was about standing up to the fear and control he represented, and proving that even the most powerful could be held accountable. The news of Nathan's criminal charges against Erica spread like wildfire. Every outlet latched onto the story, twisting it into another layer of drama. While Kara's expose had gained traction, Nathan's counterattack muddied the waters, leaving the public divided. I could see the weight of it all bearing down on Erica. She looked pale and exhausted, her confidence shaken. What if this ruins everything? She asked, her voice barely above a whisper. It won't, I said firmly. Nathan's playing his last card because he knows he's losing. Kara's article is out there, and people are starting to see him for who he really is. Rachel, sitting across the room, nodded. We just have to keep pushing. If we give up now, he wins. Her resolve surprised me, but I knew she was right. We had come too far to let Nathan scare us into silence. Kara called later that morning, her voice tense but determined. The charges against Erica are flimsy at best, she said. He's trying to discredit her, but we can use this to our advantage. It shows just how desperate he's become. What's the plan? I asked. We need more voices, Kara replied. Amanda's testimony was a breakthrough, but if others come forward, it'll solidify the narrative. The next few days were a whirlwind. Kara's article gained traction, and more of Nathan's former co-workers began speaking out. Some shared their stories publicly, while others provided anonymous accounts of his manipulation and abuse. Each new revelation chipped away at Nathan's carefully crafted image. The tide was turning, but it wasn't fast enough for Erica, who was now facing legal threats and public scrutiny. One evening, as we gathered to strategize, Erica broke down. I don't know if I can do this anymore, she said, tears streaming down her face. He's ruining my life all over again. Rachel knelt beside her, placing a reassuring hand on her shoulder. You're stronger than you think, she said softly. And you're not alone in this. Watching Rachel comfort Erica was a surreal moment. The woman who had once betrayed me was now one of our strongest allies. That night, I received a text from an unknown number. Meet me at the old theater downtown. Midnight. Come alone. I stared at the message, unease settling in my gut. It had to be Nathan or someone working for him. I showed the text to Kara and Rachel, both of whom urged me to be cautious. But I couldn't ignore the possibility that this could be the breakthrough we needed. At midnight, I arrived at the theater, my nerves on edge. The building was dark and abandoned, its once grand facade now crumbling with age. I stepped inside, the air thick with dust and silence. As I moved deeper into the shadows, a voice called out, Adam. Nathan emerged from the darkness, his usual smug demeanor replaced by something colder, more dangerous. I figured you'd show up, he said, his tone mocking. What do you want? I demanded, keeping my distance. Nathan smirked. I wanted to see the man who thinks he can take me down. You've caused quite the stir, Adam. But let me make something clear. You're out of your depth. His words stung, but I stood my ground. Your time's up, Nathan. The truth is out. and people are finally seeing you for what you are. Nathan's smirk faltered for a moment before he stepped closer. You really think this is over? I've survived worse than you. I'll bury you and everyone else who gets in my way. I clenched my fists, my anger threatening to boil over. You can't intimidate me anymore, and you can't stop the truth. Kara's article, Erica's testimony, it's all out there. You've lost. Nathan's eyes narrowed, his calm facade cracking. We'll see about that, he said, his voice dripping with venom. He turned and disappeared into the shadows, leaving me alone in the empty theater. As I walked back into the cool night air, my resolve hardened. Nathan's desperation was palpable, and his threats only confirmed that we were winning. I texted Kara as I walked. He's scared. Let's finish this. Her reply came quickly. We're already ahead of him. Meet me tomorrow. We got a plan. The stage was set for the final showdown. Nathan had played every card in his deck, but the truth was stronger than his lies. And for the first time, I felt certain justice was within reach. The next morning, Kara called an emergency meeting. I arrived at her office to find Erica and Rachel already there, both looking tense but resolute. All right, Kara began, setting a stack of papers on the table. Nathan's playing dirty, but we have the upper hand. This is how we end it. She outlined a plan to release a follow-up article, one that would connect all the dots, the financial records, Amanda's testimony, and the corroborating stories from others who had come forward. This isn't just an expose anymore, Kara said. It's a case study in how predators operate, and Nathan is the poster child. The plan was bold, and the stakes were higher than ever. If we succeeded, Nathan's career and his reputation would be irreparably destroyed. But if we failed, it could strengthen his narrative and leave Erica and Rachel vulnerable to further attacks. Are you sure we have enough? Rachel asked, her voice trembling slightly. We have more than enough, Kara replied. But we need one final push, something to hammer the point home. She turned to me. Adam, you've been the driving force behind this. If you're willing, your story could be the key to tying everything together. The thought of going public made my stomach churn. My personal life had already been upended, and exposing myself to scrutiny felt like a gamble. But as I looked around the room, at Erica's courage, Rachel's determination, and Kara's resolve, I knew it was the right thing to do. I'll do it, I said, my voice steady. Kara nodded. Good. Let's get to work. The rest of the day was a blur of interviews and preparation. Kara recorded my account of Nathan's threats, his attempt to intimidate me at the theater, and the emotional toll of discovering his affair with Rachel. By evening, the story was complete. A comprehensive takedown of Nathan Cole, supported by evidence, testimony, and the voices of those he had tried to silence. This goes live tomorrow morning, Kara said as we wrapped up. Be ready for the fallout. As I left the office, I felt a mix of fear and determination. The battle was almost over, but the final move would be the most dangerous yet. That night, I received another text from Nathan. You're making a mistake, Adam. This won't end well for you. I stared at the message, my heart pounding, but instead of replying, I deleted it and turned off my phone. Nathan's intimidation tactics wouldn't work anymore. The next morning, the article went live. The headline was bold and damning. The Predator exposed. How Nathan Cole's web of lies unraveled. Within minutes, the internet exploded. News outlets picked up the story. Social media erupted with outrage, and Nathan's name trended worldwide for all the wrong reasons. Erica called, her voice shaking with a mix of relief and disbelief. It's happening, Adam. People are finally seeing him for who he really is. Rachel texted as well. Thank you for believing in me. We couldn't have done this without you. But I knew the fight wasn't over yet. Nathan wouldn't go down without a final attempt to salvage his reputation. By midday, his PR team released a statement, dismissing the accusations as baseless, and claiming that Nathan was the victim of a coordinated smear campaign. But the damage had already been done. Major studios announced they were cutting ties with Nathan, and former colleagues began sharing their own stories of his toxic behavior. As the day wore on, I felt a growing sense of closure. Nathan's empire was crumbling, and the truth was finally out. But beneath the relief, there was still a lingering question. What would happen next? That evening, Kara called with an update. Nathan's lawyer contacted me, she said. He wants to settle. He knows it's over. The words hit me like a weight lifting off my shoulders. Nathan's reign of control and manipulation was finally coming to an end. For the first time in months, I felt like I could breathe again. The battle had been long and painful, but we had won. As I sat on the balcony of the motel, watching the sun set over the city, I allowed myself a moment of quiet satisfaction. The fight was over, and justice had prevailed.